Stugotz here. You may not be able to run, throw, or catch like a professional athlete, but now that it's spring, you can get your lawn looking like a professional sports field, assuming your lawn gear will start. That's it. Stop by Advanced Auto Parts. They'll test your lawn and garden battery for free. If it needs to be replaced, they have Autocraft lawn and garden batteries starting at just $22.99. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. Think ahead. Think advance at Advanced Auto Parts. The Dan Le Batard with Stugotz Show podcast is presented by Capital One. This is Banking Reimagined. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Roy Wood Jr. going to join us in just a second on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Apologies for my dog Finnegan. Here, I got to close the door. Sorry.
I think Stugotz was doing sit-ups with the ab roller during the break.
The next time you see me, I am going to be ripped, meditated, like peace of mind, yoga today. I mean, this is exciting. You saw me doing sit-ups, man?
I saw you drag in the ab roller there. Yeah. I didn't see you doing the sit-ups. I just saw you drag in the ab roller and then disappear from the computer screen.
And then pop back up. A little set of 25, Dana. Here's your Sports Center update. Justin Verlander will be out 6 weeks following groin surgery. Norwegian musher Thomas Werner and his 10-dog team won the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, completing the 1,000-mile course across Alaska in 9 days, 10 hours, 37 minutes, and 47 seconds. He'll take home a minimum $50,000 and a new pickup truck. Doesn't seem worth it, got to be honest.
It seems like something ESPN should be televising. Those dogs don't care about any viruses.
Did Mike have a bet on that? He's freaking out. And finally, a population of crabs is called a consortium. Here's the SelectQuote difference. Most companies give you one option, one policy, and one rate, but SelectQuote shops and could get you up to 10 options from highly rated life insurance companies. For a free personalized quote, call 800-780-1010 or go to SelectQuote.com today. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
You may know Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show, from stand-up comedy, from things that he has written. We appreciate you joining us, Roy. Thank you for making the time. I thought it was interesting, the point that you were making recently, sort of worried about the future of stand-up comedy. Can you explain to the listener what it is that you're talking about there?
Well, what I want to preface it with first and foremost is that what I do is just make people chuckle and maybe get through something. And at the end of the day, I think what this situation has shown us is just what's really important. When you really look at all of the stuff that's been shut down, they were all things you probably could have done without. Basketball, a cruise ship, a bowling alley, and me telling jokes to you for a 2-drink minimum. But I just started kind of thinking about what's the way back for comedy, and as you lose the big, as we start building back to a sense of new normalcy, that's going to come piece by piece, right? So my concern is that the comedy clubs that aren't able to weather this storm, the ones that will remain, will need to book comedians that are most popular to draw in an audience. So it pushes out the lower guys, and that's just what the economics of the business are right now. So I'm very concerned about the comedians that, don't have a resume that's deep yet, that are still trying to build their career. And the question becomes, where do you perform? And even if there is a place to perform, will people have the disposable income to even go and watch a show? And you can assume the answer to that for a long time is going to be no. So, I don't know where, the thing that really sucks about all this, in my opinion, is that I'm one of those people where I feel like we don't even know if we're at the bottom of this yet to even figure out what the way up and out of it is. So, I've been talking with comedian Mike Birbiglia and John Mulaney, and we got something up our sleeve. We could probably talk about it a little more next week once we have the structure in place. But we're going to try and do some stuff to make sure that these clubs and to make sure that these younger comedians, and especially the wait staff and the bar staff, to make sure they have a way through. So the one thing about the comedy community is that we're definitely very close-knit, very tight-knit. We lean on one another. So, We're going to figure out the logistics, and, we're going to get to work, man.
It is such a tough life. Can you explain to the people, because I've read about your career and the idea that you would go into a city early on and work second jobs in the city. Like, what kind of jobs were you working? Because it is a tough lifestyle.
Yeah, you were making, just for the economics of it, as an opening act in like the early 2000s, like '01, '02, when I was still in MC, I would drive to a place like Columbia, South Carolina, where thankfully they had a club that at the time was open 6 days a week, and the booker would book you for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks straight, you live in a hotel room in South Carolina. You're not needed at the club till 8 p.m. So I would get up at 6 a.m., and I would go to day labor places. I would go to, like, the temp services. So one day you're in a shirt and tie at a keyboard. The next day I was working at the Quick Creek packing facility in Columbia, South Carolina, putting bags of Quickcrete on forklift pallets for 8 hours a day. And you do that for $7.25 an hour, and you put that money with the $250, but you do it because you love it.
Do you have some story that you could share with us about during the grind as you were coming up, a place that you worked where you looked around? I mean, Bob Saget tells this great story of in Alaska coming into a strip club, and he's basically being introduced by a woman who's got pie tins on her chest and just actual matches in a circle on her chest that are lit. Seven people performing there. You must have some stories like that when you were coming up.
Yeah, there's always weird places, but the one thing I remember was the weird people. I won't name his name, but there was a ventriloquist, not just Donna. There's others. There was a ventriloquist that I had to drive because he didn't have a driver's license. And so he was the headliner. As the opener, you're basically the chauffeur for the headliner in those days. And everywhere we stopped to eat, he would bring the dummy. I don't know if I'm allowed to call it that. His partner, his work buddy, whatever it was, he would ask for a table for three, and he would set up the dummy nice and neat at the table in front of the rest of the restaurant. It's me and him eating, but there's three people at the table, and people are looking at us like we're lunatics.
Did you ever get discouraged? Did you get discouraged? Like, that stuff is hard. Coming up in comedy, it's just such a hard way to do it.
So there's a story, and this is not that different from now. You probably have opening acts that are probably making anywhere. And when I say opening act, that's the guy that's doing 30 minutes before the headliner. On the road, the opening act might get $100, but it costs you $40 to get there. The headliner might make $150, maybe $200. So I was headed to a gig in Kentucky some years ago as an opener, and the gig canceled. I was halfway there, and the gig canceled. And the money from that gig was supposed to be my gas money to get back home to Birmingham. And so, I just sat at a truck stop in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And, it was one of those, what the hell am I doing with my life? And I had a decent little radio internship, and I could have worked somewhere locally in town until I got on salary at the radio station, but I just knew I wouldn't be happy. So I slept in my car that night. I got up the next morning, and I went to the temp service in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I went to work that day and made my gas money to get back home to Birmingham. And I got back, and, at the time I was still living with my mom, and she asked me how the gig was, and I told her it was great. Because you don't even want people to know, what you're going through. And it's not just comedians. This is going to be musicians, DJs, singers. That entire industry, the wait staff, bartenders, all of that is going to be, altered. It's going to be altered, and I hope not permanently, but there definitely is going to be ripple effects on this for the back half of the year. So, it's definitely going to be a very, very trying time in the world of entertainment for entertainers as a whole. And I know that you can take that with a grain of salt with people dealing with, real struggle. But at the end of the day, as Americans, we all have a form of livelihood, and there's a great deal of people in this country whose livelihoods are going to be changed. So, guys like myself and other guys that are a little higher up the totem pole, we're going to try and make sure that we get as many people on the life raft as we can.
I don't think that somebody today can survive in this present climate the sleeping in the car for months at a time. I don't think that right now, if Roy Wood Jr. is coming up right now, he's got to give it up if this lasts for months and months, right? Correct.
The only other alternate is probably internet comedy, and there's a lot of comedians in the last 5 to 8 years that have found their niche online, and they make money with the influencing culture and all of that. But I think that's also something that could be altered. You make a lot of jokes, so you crack enough jokes online, a company gives you $20,000-$30,000 to hold a bottle of water and grin in your videos on your social media channel, but you have to be reaching millions of people to even get to that point. But you're influencing people to buy what? Stuff that they don't need right now. So whatever face cream and toners and, whatever you're trying to sell and shovel, most people aren't going to be buying that right now. That's not going to be a priority. And so I think digital is definitely going to be a way. The one thing that I have noticed on Twitter over the last probably 72 hours, there are a lot more people going live in their homes, just celebrity live feeds, and from Jimmy Kimmel, Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child, Cardi B. If you want some comedy, go pull up Cardi B's Instagram. Like, she is running her mouth every day, dipping salad. She takes her lettuce one piece at a time and dips it in dressing like it's a chicken nugget. That's how she eats salad. And so I think it's going to be more of that. I think people will be leaning more on digital revenue until things settle back down.
Enjoy your work, sir. We appreciate you making the time for us. Thank you for doing so.
Big fan. See you next time I get down there.
Yes, sir.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app, and subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. Please rate and subscribe. New episodes are posted every week wherever you get your podcasts.
I wish America could have heard the conversation between Billy and Chris during the break where, to their horror, they both realized that they probably left food in the Clevelander fridge. And then Chris said perhaps the funniest phrase food-wise that you could say for leaving in a fridge, which is the comedic phrase beef stroganoff. He left. I can't think off the top of my head of a funnier food phrase than beef stroganoff. And we are sure whenever we come out of this coronavirus situation in 3 months to be met with more disease at the Clevelander than we left it. Billy, what did you leave in the fridge?
I left a Lunchable that had cheese, so for sure that's going to go bad. I think my favorite part of the story from Chris's side was it was already a 5-day-old beef stroganoff on Friday, which was our last day there. It's not like it was fresh to begin with.
It's going to smell bad. Definitely going to smell bad.
Chris had some funny observations during the breaks about what is going on with the Tampa Bay Bucks and some of the things. Tom Brady gets there, and all of a sudden they've got to spruce up their cruddy franchise that doesn't have a whole lot of star power to sell us. And so he's wondering, why does Ronald Jones keep sneaking into this potent new offense that Brady has? What's happening there?
You see Mike Evans, and you see the other receiver that they had, Chad Godwin. You see Cameron Brate. You see O.J. Howard. These are legitimate offensive weapons. And then you see Ronald Jones thrown in there. And it's just what are we doing with Ronald Jones? Just because he's the only running back? You just leave him off that. And also, back to Godwin. Did I say Chad Godwin? It's Chris Godwin. Yeah. He needs to really – this is a moment for him to take advantage and get the most because he wears the number 12. And Brady wants number 12. He needs to play hardball here.
Oh, Guillermo put it on the poll. Should Godwin refuse to give Brady number 12? Hold on to number 12.
I'm thinking maybe $12 million for number 12. What do you think?
I think that's fair. Yeah,
it's gonna cost him some money. Billy, what did you learn from Ariel Helwani? You are seeing him as a bit of a wisdom, a source of wisdom, an oracle.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware of what's going on, but it's a pretty crazy time right now, and everybody's super stressed out about it, and we have all this free time on our hands, and I don't know if you guys are like me, and apparently like Ariel was. You spend all your time kind of just refreshing the news and seeing what's going on, and you're just reading more and more negative things, and it's driving you crazy. So he tweeted out yesterday, personal note, if I may. Yesterday I went to bed feeling really down about the state of things, so I woke up with the goal in mind to not refresh Twitter all day by reading the news. It worked until I saw the KD news and then started reading again and feeling down again. And I was surprised and glad that someone in his position with all his following is like sharing their vulnerabilities with everyone else, because we're all kind of going through the exact same thing right now. And while not reading the news doesn't change what happens, it does kind of help out in changing your mindset a little bit. So I just thought it was kind of cool of him to put himself out there and then reach out and ask other people, how else are you guys getting through this? Because we're all in this together. Like, whatever it is that your thoughts are, wherever you lean, like politically, religion, race, gender, all of that stuff, we're all going through the exact same thing. So it's a really good time for all of us to kind of come together and help each other out getting through this. And I thought it was cool of him to kind of put that out there.
You say that we're all going through the exact same thing, but I was reading a Bill Simmons tweet because all of us are looking for movies for entertainment, and he was saying that the new Ben Affleck movie, that he'd be willing to pay $50 to just have the ability to get something that's in theaters instead of going to the theaters. To just get that movie for $50. And it made me think we're not all going through the same thing, because most people would not pay $50 for that movie. Like, that is and most people don't just throw away $50. I'm not even making it an indictment of that movie, even though most basketball movies aren't very good. And I don't imagine that one would be very good either. What's up, Billy?
Answer our calls and join the show already. We've been trying to get him since Brady got traded.
Oh, no.
Enough of him. I'm sorry about that, Mike. I want to share with the audience what happens here, because I feel bad for Mike, because he's spinning a lot of plates, and because we're on this highest rung of the entertainment ladder, I want America to understand that every time you're hearing one of these voices that isn't me or Mike, it's Mike just as fast as he can taking his headset off and putting it next to the speakers on my phone. That is what the biggest radio show in America is doing. And the reason you just heard that wind tunnel there is because I wanted to go to Mike on something, and then I audibled feeling like I could do a comfortable show the way we normally do it. And so he just threw his headset at my computer so you could hear what Billy had to say, because I don't have the ability to communicate with you guys in real time.
I so badly wanted to hop in when Chris mentioned Ronald Jones, because I don't know if you've noticed this thing on social media, and Omar, who's handling the ESPN accounts, is like the most guilty party, because anytime someone joins a new team, you have the engagement tweet of, man, the Browns look loaded next year, and it's a still of everybody's face. And Ronald Jones was the tipping point of this for me. Even O.J. Howard. When you look past the height and weight, really, we're going to include O.J. Howard on the weapons list? Man, the Bucs look stacked next year. It's like all the social media managers went to the same social media class 101, and it's anytime there's a transaction of any sort, even if it's Chris Middleton going to the Bucs. Man, the Bucs are loaded.
Cody Zeller joins us next.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cody Zeller going to join us in just a minute. The big handsome. How about that, Dano? Going to join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Justin Verlander will be out 6 weeks following groin surgery. Norwegian musher Thomas Werner and his 10-dog team won the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, competing the 1,000-mile course across Alaska in 9 days, 10 hours, 37 minutes, and 47 seconds. He'll take home a minimum of $50,000 and a new pickup truck. Oh, boy. I don't even know where to start here. And finally, araxophobia. I get it? I nailed it, right?
I mean, it was pretty good. It sounded pretty good. You tried to rush through it there, but
I did. Araxophobia is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Oh, that's awful. Has a name like that? I mean, SportsCenter is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 in 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
The reason Cody Zeller is on with us, you may know him. I don't know if you know him as the Big Handsome. I don't know how many people actually call him that, although that is his nickname. We'll ask him in a second. But he tweeted on Sunday, I think ESPN should continue to cover professional athletes this week as we each try to learn new skills and hobbies at home in our free time. Let's check in on Cody Zeller in Charlotte as he's trying to learn how to cook. Is that the smoke alarm again? I'd like to sort of interview Cody Zeller with the idea that we'll check in with him every day to find out what he's learning, to find out how he is growing the entirety of his life. But before we do that, and Cody, thank you for joining us. Do many people actually call you the Big Handsome?
First of all, thanks for having me on. I tried to leave that nickname back in college. It was kind of a college thing, and but somehow it made its way to Charlotte. So a couple of my teammates just figured out that within the past few weeks, actually, and they won't stop calling me the Big Handsome. So a little bit of kind of ragging me about it, but it could be worse. It could be a much worse nickname, I guess.
Oh, wait a minute. So you had successfully kept it under wraps until a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, for that long, yeah, for sure.
How did that happen? What happened?
I don't know. We went back to Indiana. We played against the Pacers, and somebody called me the Big Handsome. They had a sign or something, so my teammates started asking questions and doing a little digging, and so they all thought it was pretty funny.
So help us understand here. What day of quarantine is this for you? How many days of quarantine are we into?
So I'm not on official quarantine. I think I'm just kind of trying to do my part, trying to self-distance. That's kind of the new phrase that we're going after. But, I'm going a little stir crazy here at the house. I live alone here in Charlotte, so we can go into the arena to work out, but it has to be, a few players on the court at once. And then if you go in the weight room, it's like 2 players can be in there at once, and they have to disinfect every weight that we touch. And even in between sets. So, like, you do 10 bicep curls, you lift it 10 times, you put it down, and they have to disinfect it before set 2. So it's a little extreme. But anyway, so I went into the arena to work out. I'm home by 10:30, and I got nothing to do for the rest of the day. So I think we're all in the same boat, trying to find ways to kill time. And, so we're all in the same boat.
What percentage of the league is going to come back fat?
Tough telling. I don't know. The thing is, I thought it was interesting because as professional athletes, as basketball players, we have so many people around us that take care of other parts of our lives, and I think there's something to be said for it. So we can just focus on playing basketball. So a lot of guys have a chef or someone to clean their house, financial advisor, someone to pay their taxes, everything else in their life. So you can just focus on basketball. But when we don't have basketball, and the result of it is that we have no skills other than just playing basketball. So now we're at a loss for it, but we think that, we think we can just pick up some other hobby and we're going to be good at it right away. So I think we're all trying to figure out what's next for us.
Well, I don't think guitar is next for you. You tried to teach yourself how to play the guitar. Share with the audience how that went for you, Cody.
Yeah, I found a YouTube video on a tutorial on how to learn guitar. I'm like, I can just pick this up. I have no musical ability at all. And I think I made it to lesson 3. My fingers hurt, and I can't play any notes. And I think I just thought that, like, by the end of the day, I'd be playing, all these songs and stuff. So that killed a couple hours at least. So I'm on to the next thing. The other thing, I watched I have no, woodworking ability at all. I never did that growing up or anything, but I watched, a 7-minute YouTube tutorial on how to build a deck. And they make it look so easy in the video. I'm like, I think I can do that. That's my afternoon, So yeah, I'm kind of, trying to figure out what's next.
But it doesn't sound like you're learning. It just sounds like you're failing. Are you sticking with? Are you sticking with these things?
I think my end goal is just to kill time at this point. So I don't think I really need success at any of these. So the other one, we were just in the training room with some of the guys, and I think most of the guys are just going in mostly just to socialize, but we're keeping our 6 feet just to get out of the house. But we were thinking of new inventions that we could have from this. There's obviously a void of all of our lives are going to change. And so we were thinking a fashionable, the cone of shame that the dogs wear. something to keep our, all this illness is transmitted through, or like a big hula hoop that's like, 6 feet, keeps, 6 feet for the social distancing. There's a lot of opportunities here.
I saw a picture of a guy in a grocery store and his whole head was in bubble wrap. Like he was sitting there, he was trying to scan items in a grocery store and his whole head was inside of something that had a breathing space in it, but it was basically, he just had a bubble around his head.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any effectiveness to that at all, but I think there's some money to be made. Some new inventions are going to come out for sure from this.
You got a good Michael Jordan story for us? Everybody who plays in Charlotte has at least one. You got a good one for us?
I have a few. It's awesome to have him around anytime that you can get even a few minutes with him. On draft night, my first time talking to him, I came off stage. I shook David Stern's hand. I came off stage and I had met a few guys within the Charlotte organization of Rich Cho and Rod Higgins, who were the general manager, the president. And so I had met the two of them just in my workouts in Charlotte. And so I came off stage and they handed me the phone and they said, it's Rod Higgins, Rich Cho, and Michael Jordan are all on the line. And so the first one, they said, it's Rich Cho. So, I got on the phone with him. Hey, we're excited. We had a chance to draft you. We're excited for you to get to Charlotte. And I said the same, I'm excited to get there to work. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to pass the phone on. So he passed the phone on, and the next one I could recognize his voice was Rod Higgins. And I had known him. I'd met with him a few times. So the same thing, he'd kind of go through, we're excited for you to be in Charlotte. And I'm kind of like looking forward to seeing MJ. Like I'm kind of tuned out a little bit. And so at the end of the conversation, he says, all right, I'm going to pass the phone on to Rod. And I had just had a 5-minute conversation with MJ, and I thought that it was Rod the whole time. So I was like, okay, Mr. Jordan.
You weren't even listening, really.
Yeah. So my first time ever talking to him, I didn't even know it was him, and I was kind of tuned out a little bit.
You and Jordan play one-on-one today, Cody. Who's winning that game? You and Michael Jordan play one-on-one, a game of one-on-one. Who's winning that game?
Probably still him. He's not quite in the same shape that he was back in the day. But yeah, I think he can still get me.
What is the legendary story that you can tell us in the Zeller household from childhood of the brothers getting into a fight that you guys still talk about years later?
Oh wow, there's too many of them. We made everything into competition. Like obviously, basketball is the one that gets the attention. But I mean, we made everything into competition. And most of the time, it was something getting broken. We would have we broke my mom's favorite antique lamp that was like the goalpost for our soccer game, logically. And so Mom came home from the grocery store, that was shattered. There was one that we were playing football in the living room, which wasn't allowed. And my mom had a nice china hutch, like a nice cabinet. And so Luke was the all-time quarterback, and Tyler and I were, playing offense and defense against each other. And Luke threw one a little bit outside of my reach. I made a diving catch for it, and my head went through the china cabinet. And so there was glass everywhere. I was fine. And, of course, my dad, the first question he asked is, did you make the catch? And so, yeah, there's plenty of stuff getting broken, plenty of competitions, but, I wouldn't trade that for the world.
What are you going to do? What are you going to try and learn tomorrow? Have you decided yet? You're going to learn something every day, or you're going to fail at something every day? What's on the agenda for tomorrow?
I'm not sure. Well, I have 12 hours left in today, so I'm hoping that we can just talk for a few hours here, so we can kill some time. But
all right, we'll call you tomorrow. We'll call you tomorrow and find out what you're doing tomorrow, what you're learning tomorrow.
What he did today and what he plans on doing tomorrow.
Yes, yeah.
I think cooking is on the schedule. I think I can learn how to cook. So I can make like tacos. I can make the very basic stuff. So I think I'm ready for something very, very complicated, like, scallops or salmon or, something pretty complicated.
You are delusionally confident that you can pick these things up. Hasn't failing at the guitar and the deck taught you anything?
I mean, he's building an extension on his house.
That's how you learn, You got to learn from your mistakes and you got to get better. That's what I learned in my basketball career.
Cody, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it, sir.
I appreciate it. I'll keep you guys updated.
All right,
we'll
please do. Yeah, call in. We'll just find out every day. Just check in with us. Thank you, Cody. We appreciate it. These guys are so bored, Stugotz. They're at home and they're so bored. At Le Batard Show on Twitter is where you vote. At Le Batard Show if you want to get involved with the polls. Chris Cody has been collecting. He's been scouring the internet. We will do this the remainder of the week. Hashtag Dan Action. Name the action movie that I am starring in, because we have found a Bollywood actor who looks suspiciously like me. He is holding a gun. He's on the movie poster, and we've gotten some good nominees here on what the name of the movie should be. But at Le Batard Show is where you vote on the polls. Go ahead, Stugotz.
I'll get to him in just a second. Today on ESPN Daily, travel the winding, dramatic road of Tom Brady leaving New England and why one NFL insider who's followed Brady for years isn't at all surprised. That's ESPN Daily with Mina Kimes, presented by ADT. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcast. At Le Batard Show on Twitter. Can you name an offensive guard that's not on your team? 65% of the audience said no. Is being down by 8 with the length of the field to go and no timeouts a Chargers thing or a Rivers thing? This is a big one. Mike, 69% of the audience said it's a Rivers thing.
Sweet.
Is Stugotz the worst meditator in the history of meditation? I am.
He quit after
95% of the audience said yes.
He quit after 90 seconds. He got distracted by football news.
I mean, the Jets signed a guard. I don't know who he is. But they're protecting Darnold, man. I'm the best quarterback in the AFC East.
You can't get to your spiritual center because the Jets signed a guard.
It's tough. It's tough being trapped inside of this mind. Are the first few NBA games going to be played with fat players? That's easy, man. That's a great point by you. I mean, how can they be in shape when they get back? 92% of the audience said yes.
How about Cody Zeller, though, telling us, we got to ask him again tomorrow, like the extreme measures that these guys are going through to keep their weights clean because you can't go to the gym. The idea that they're having all their weight equipment disinfected after every set is crazy.
It is. Stay at home. Get a home gym. Can you say, with all due respect, boo-hoo, get over it? I mean, you can. I said it earlier today. 51% of the audience. Nice. They said yes. Thank you, audience. Are you yelling at people who are shaking hands in car commercials? June Lee is. 60% of the audience said yes. Who had the better PSA? Ed Orgeron, Matthew McConaughey. Ed Orgeron won going away. 77% said Ed Orgeron. Those are the polls, Dan.
All right, Chris, let's go. Give it up. People have been waiting. How many do you have there that you have pared it down some, right? You've pared it down to some of the best. So there is an action movie hero in Bollywood. He looks way too much like me, and we have asked for your submissions on the name of the movie. Go ahead. What do we have?
Well, before I get to the top 5, let me just give you a couple new ones. We have Mad Max, McFlurry Road. We have Big. That's it. That's just it. It's just called Big. And then we have Tango and Hash Browns. We have Crouching Tiger, Hidden Health Issues. So those are the top ones, new submissions.
Why is my wife laughing at these? Why is Valerie laughing?
The Fudgative, Burritos Way, and the Frying King. We got to pick a winner from one of those.
Okay, well, we'll do it at the end of the week. At Le Batard Show on Twitter, and if you want to get involved, the hashtag is Dan Action. At the end of the week, we'll send somebody a gift package. We're also going to actually call Cody Zeller again tomorrow. I want to find out what he's learning here, and I want to get into his life. He has failed at woodwork. He has failed at guitar, and so we will talk to Cody Zeller, among others, tomorrow.